The first thing we have to do is that we should be able to speak freely, to talk freely among us, not to be inhibited and not to be duct taped. And it's only in that sense there can be a remedy for the situation we are in. If we are duct taped, we cannot bring about any remedy. So instead of splitting vote, we are building a strong Canada and we're going to take back Canada.
Well, several candidates announced today by Maxime Bernier, the leader of the People's Party of Candidate, and certainly a star candidate is my guest right now, Dr. Salim Mansur. Dr. Mansur, it's very interesting times in which we live. Just a month ago, many were expecting you to run for the Conservative Party of Canada here in London. Things didn't work out. Did you ever find out why you suddenly became persona non grata with the Conservative Party?
No, they haven't given any explanation. They just disallowed my candidacy without any reason. And when I appealed that disallowance, that too was rejected. And so there is no word on why.
Well, it seems, I guess they're in their right not to give you a reason. To me, it seems very cowardly. We've had this discussion in the past. My personal theory, and I think you subscribe to it as well, is that you have been justifiably very critical of radical Islam. And I guess there's a feeling out there that Andrew Scheer is terrified that his political opponents, the mean girls in the media, will cherry pick certain statements you've made and say, look at this is Islamophobia, even though you yourself are a Muslim. I mean, this just sounds so incredulous to me. What's your reaction to that theory?
Well, that's the most plausible explanation, I mean, I don't want to speculate. David, what has happened has happened. I think a lot of people are going to write about it and talk about it. A time possibly will come when I will myself write about it and talk about it. But right now, I have turned the page and I'm looking forward to the present, to the future. We want to win, and we want to see that People's Party of Canada elect some members, and I hope to win myself. I want to take this seat.
And Dr. Mansur, if that is indeed the case, if you are not the quote right kind of Muslim end quote for Andrew Scheer and the Conservatives, who is? And I think of someone he's posed in photographs with, Omar Subadar, somebody who advocates for Sharia law, someone who has said publicly if you should discipline your wife if she misbehaves with a heavy stick. How do you make any sense out of this logic?
Well, David, again, these are very broad and huge subject matter, but to put it very succinctly, there is the official Islam, that is the Islam that exists in the institutional sense, like there is an official Christianity that exists in an institutional sense. So in the case of Islam, the institutional sense is the mosque, the main institution, and they define what is right Islam and wrong Islam, and in the definition or the demarcating line is Sharia compliance, Sharia rule, which is a medieval, pre-medieval idea. It has nothing to do with Islam. It is a constructed code of law, and the mosques are pushing that, and that's how they keep control on the people. I am one of those Muslims, and I'm not alone. You might call me a dissident Muslim. You might call me, somebody who is an anti-Islamist or anti-Sharia Muslim. That means we are engaged in trying to update the historical and theological basis of understanding of this third great Abrahamic faith, Islam. And so people like me and those of us who are around are denounced as heretic, denounced as apostate. And what is happening inside Canada is the war that is happening around the Muslim world. There is a war going on, and people have to waken up to that reality. And the people who are being pushed out, like for instance in Egypt, Morsi, who died recently, was a Muslim Brotherhood person, The leader of the Muslim Brotherhood today is living in exile in Qatar, Qaradawi, but he's an Egyptian. A war is going on, and these people have fled to Canada. And the irony is, there were exiles from the former Soviet Union. And we stood with them, and they were fighting for freedom, people like Solzhenitsyn and Sakharov and Kerensky. And we got them out, from the Soviet Union during the Cold War years. They were freedom fighters. But now what we are doing is embracing the very people who are fighting against freedom. by our state, by our mainstream political party. This is in the United States. Obama was in full embrace of Muslim Brotherhood. This is right here in Canada with the two main parties. And I think that that's the conversation that my party of more than 30 years did not want to have.
Incredible. Well, they may call you a heretic. I use a different H word for you, Dr. Mansur. That would be hero, for taking such a brave stance and speaking out. And on that note, do you think maybe this was a blessing in disguise that the Conservatives didn't want you? Because I can't see you speaking freely on such touchy subject matter with this party, what it's become under Andrew Scheer, whereas with the PPC, I think you are more free to speak your mind.
Well, people again can describe whether I was liberated or not, but look, Maxime and my relationship go back a decade. When he was a minister in the Conservative government, he was serving Harper. I have been a Conservative, as I said, going back more than 3 decades, So our relationship was there. Ezra, you're the rebel. I mean, my relationship goes back with Ezra in the 1990s. And it was so absurd that I, as a Conservative, couldn't speak with my friends of long standing and friends with whom we share common values, common ideas. So when my candidacy was disallowed, the first person who called me was Maxime. He was saying, "My friend Salim, what are you doing? You should join me." and it didn't take, rocket science for me to join him, but we had to work out, the nitty-gritty details in terms of I was a CPC candidate for 10 months, and suddenly I was disallowed. All divorces are difficult. Other people don't have to divorce because a couple have divorced, right? There are all sorts of other relationships. So there was a divorce in the sense that they expelled me or disallowed me. But I'm picking up the pieces of my old relationship. And People's Party is back again. I am with Maxime, a good friend. Maxime and I have been on platforms before. And Maxime is an absolutely devoted man to the idea, the classical idea of freedom. There is no freedom unless it is the freedom of the individual. That is the ultimate minority. The ultimate minority is the individual.
Yes.
You gag him, you have destroyed what is the image of God.
And Dr. Mansur, one last question. I'm sure there are people out there that maintain the narrative. They say to you, what are you doing? Your presence with the People's Party of Canada is only going to split the Conservative vote. This will be a wedge for the Liberal to win this riding, and the real public enemy number one is Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party. How do you respond to the idea that you could hurt the chances of the Conservative Party candidate here in this riding?
No, in my view, we are not hurting the chances. In fact, we are building the strong firewall to prevent a coalition of the left under Justin Trudeau with NDP and the Green Party to once again take away the country as they tried to do in the 2008 election. It is on the contrary. We are the firewall. We are the strongest Conservative. And those people who argue that we are splitting the vote are basically devoted to institution rather than the principle. Canada is a free country, and if you're going to maintain Canada as a free country, a strong country, we protect Canada, the first thing we have to do is that we should be able to speak freely, to talk freely among us, not to be inhibited and not to be duct taped. And it's only in that sense there can be a remedy for the situation we are in. If we are duct taped, we cannot bring about any remedy. So instead of splitting vote, we are building a strong Canada, and we're going to take back Canada.
Hey folks, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and never miss another Rebel video.